Attention everyone, there's a new doctor in the house. I'm Stacey Leska with the Los Angeles Times, and joining me to discuss the return of Doctor Who is Mary McNamara and Patrick Day. We also have a couple remote guests joining us today, and we'll get to them in a little bit. Oh, you can actually see them there, Ashwin and Kieran, so you can wave, guys. Hello.
Hi.
Okay, Mary.
Super fans.
They actually know a lot more than we do, and especially me. I have to admit right off the bat, we did a chat, guys, a couple months ago with the anniversary of Doctor Who.
That's right.
And I got so many, I swear to God, the most hate tweets because I kept referring it as him Doctor Who versus the Doctor. So I will never make that mistake ever again. So Mary, tell me about the return of the Doctor.
The Doctor.
It's a new Doctor this year.
New Doctor. Well, and this is the post-anniversary Doctor.
Yeah.
So we had more Doctor than you could even imagine in November when they were celebrating the 25th anniversary of this show. And now we get, at the end of last season, he was going into regeneration, which is every 3 or 4 years, one season, two seasons, they bring in a new actor. And so we lost Matt Smith, and now we have Peter Capaldi, which was, it was a little controversial, the choice. A lot of people were saying, well, maybe it could be a woman this time, maybe it could be a doctor of color this time. And instead they went with Capaldi, who is, well, I think he's 25 years older than Matt Smith.
Yeah. Yes.
And so that's a big change, because the modern doctors have all been fairly young. Mm-hmm. They've been like kind of pin-up boy handsome, and not to say that Mr. Capaldi is not handsome, but he is not like, a 16-year-old geek girl's dream.
Although he's about the age that William Hartnell was.
Absolutely. That's right. Yes. It seems like we're getting back to some of the roots of Doctor Who.
Yeah, Capaldi is 56. Matt started at the age of 26.
Yes. Well, he was the youngest Doctor. So yes.
So do you think, though, that, Patrick, that'll really kind of make a difference to fans? Because this, Capaldi's kind of talked about how his character, he's going through this regeneration, so of course he's older, but he's also very different. Do you think that fans are going to be able to connect with him in the same way?
Probably not in the same way, but I think that it's the change is going to be good. I mean, I think that you learn to expect a certain thing from the show, especially after Matt Smith in 3 seasons, and some people like that, some people don't. And the great thing about regenerating the Doctor, bringing in somebody older, is that you have a chance to change it up a little bit. It'll still be the same kind of type of story. You're still going to have aliens, you're still going to have a lot of timey-wimey stuff, but you'll have a chance to have somebody coming at it from a different perspective that I think is going to surprise people.
And every time they shift, there's some, because David Tennant was like, for a lot of people, was the Doctor, and then when he gave way to Matt Smith, there was like, well, who's this new kid? It's like, and he's so young, and it's like, and he was a very youthful Doctor too, and very mischievous, and so so it's like there's always, you have to, just everybody just take a deep breath. Yeah. In fact, the premiere episode is called Deep Breath.
Yes. So, well, let's get to the young next generation of Doctor Who fans. Ashwin and Kieran Rhodes, thanks so much for joining us this morning, you guys.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, okay, so how long have you both been a fan of Doctor Who?
About a year.
About a year. How did you get into the show?
Oh, well, we heard some friends talking about it, and it sounded like a good show, so we decided to watch it.
And what do you think about the change in it having a new Doctor come around? Do you guys think you'll still like Doctor Who?
I think that we will definitely still like Doctor Who, because from the Doctor's point of view, the fictional character, the Doctor, it's actually the same person, so I feel like it's going to be more or less the same as before, but they're going to change it a little bit to change the personality of the Doctor, but it's going to be more or less the same, I believe.
Okay, well, we heard a rumor before the show started that you guys had probably the best Halloween costume that we've ever heard of. Can you tell everyone about your Halloween costume?
Well, he dressed up as the Doctor.
And my brother dressed up as a different Doctor. And so we were a paradox.
A paradox. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Wait, which doctors
did you do?
I did Matt Smith, and he did David Tennant.
Nice.
Excellent.
Yes. So do you guys have favorite Doctors?
David Tennant.
David Tennant, yeah. Definitely the best Doctor.
What makes him your favorite?
I think that he is my favorite because there was less battle when he was the Doctor. Matt Smith had a lot more battling with other aliens, and I feel like David Tennant had more exploring and adventuring and
that's interesting.
fun.
That's true.
And
David Tennant also had an odd balance between kind of a youthful, not entirely youthful, but randomish trains of thought that would jump to something else, and then it would all tie together really well in the end, and it would make sense, even though it was kind of sporadic.
Mm.
And it tied in drama kind of well when he was the Doctor.
Yeah, I'll say, what the guys are saying, like, I really think that having an older Doctor is going to make all of this Doctor running around explaining what's happening and who these people are, it's going to give it a certain amount of authority coming from an older Doctor as opposed to a younger Doctor.
Yeah, I like that.
I think it's also going to be, there's going to be more adventure and less. I mean, the thing about David Tennant's Doctor, too, though, is that there was that romance. There was always the romance with the companions, and the companions all fell in love with him. And then when they brought Matt Smith on, they actually, tried to circumvent that by having Amy, his companion, have a boyfriend whose their love story sort of played along, with all of the various adventures. And so I think that, the idea of like just getting back to the adventure of Doctor Who, of exploring things, of going back in time. I always love the historical ones. I love where you go and you meet the historical figures, and you get to see them, reimagined by the writers and interacting with the Doctor. It's so fun.
Learn and watch at the same time.
Well, it was an educational show. That's how it was conceived way back in the way back.
So Kieran and Ashwin, you guys have actually seen the trailer too for this season. What do you think about it?
I think that this looks more like, before the Doctor didn't really go looking for trouble. He would go exploring and then would find trouble. Trouble would sort of always find him. But now it looks like he's going to try to attack them, and that's different than the other Doctors. So I think that's definitely going to be different, but I could be wrong, and that could not be what's going to happen. That's what I got from the show.
See, he sounds just like a TV critic, but I could be wrong.
You guys need to start writing your own blog for LA Times, I think. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us this morning and sharing your very intelligent insights into this show, and I hope you enjoy watching it tomorrow night.
And I'm totally stealing your costume idea for next year.
Love that. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so Matt Smith actually brought up, I brought up a couple interesting little stats here. First of all, on social media, hashtag Doctor Who has already had 300,000 mentions in the last 30 days.
Huge.
Clearly people are really excited. And Matt Smith, when he started, viewership was around 900,000 in the first season, ending in 1.9 million in his last season. So this show obviously is on the upswing. Do you think that there's going to be some weird backlash? Do you think people are going to be really excited with the new, new season, new Doctor, new...
I think that you're going to see all sorts of new viewership. I mean, David Tennant's Doctor brought, the show to the American attention. I mean, it's always been there, and you could always find it. You had to look for it. Matt Smith was the first Doctor to be on the cover of TV Guide. I don't know why it took so long. And so it's sort of like, it's now a kind of a mainstream show. For a long time, it was like really, an outlier geeky show. But geek culture has become mainstream too. So and this is like the perfect show for that. And it's smart, and it's funny, and it's well acted, and it's beautifully shot. It's a wonderful show.
And it's an interesting snowball effect. I mean, unlike a lot of quality cable shows where you have to go back to the beginning to understand what's going on, every 3 years they give you a very easy jumping on point. Like if I was talking to somebody to say, well, if I want to start watching Doctor Who, where should I begin? And you could easily say, well, you could start with this episode, because it's really, I was
going to ask you that.
Yeah, they're really rebooting it and making it a fresh series. I mean, my first episode of Doctor Who was the first episode with Matt Smith. And then I subsequently went back and watched some of the earlier episodes, or all the earlier episodes, with David Tennant and Christopher Eccleston. But, I never felt like, moving forward, I never felt like I didn't understand what was going on with Matt Smith.
That's a great show then. So, also this year's villain is apparently some half-faced organ harvesting droid, apparently.
In the premiere?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? Do you think this year's villain is going to be able to stack up against...
Well, there will be like many, many villains. I mean, it's like there are always a bunch of villains. That's the first one, and it's a villain that actually the Doctor has seen before, and that is part of the mystery as he's regenerating. Every time he regenerates, the first episode or two is the Doctor coming back into himself and like trying to remember what he remembers and know what he knows. So that's interesting. And then there's going to be just a bunch of really great actors playing the villains. I mean, that's almost as much fun as the show itself, is watching who are they going to get. I mean, they get everybody. They get, Derek Jacobi has been on Doctor Who. I mean, it's like they get the cream of British acting
Yeah.
talent.
And I would really like to see them push forward and try to give us some new villains. I mean, the
Yeah.
Weeping Angels was a creation of Stephen Moffat that was great,
I
but
love
then he
Weeping.
subsequently brought them back multiple times.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would love to see them really push to have some new creatures to come to fight. I mean, you've got to have
The
the Cybermen,
Daleks.
you've got to have the Daleks.
And the
I
Daleks
understand
are coming
that.
back. I think in the second
Yeah.
second episode they're going to be there. But
Yeah.
yeah, I always love to see what the new villains are going to be.
All right, let's talk about another new character that has to come during Christmas because Jenna Louise Coleman has announced that she's leaving the show during Christmas. There have been about 60 companions throughout the show's history. Any idea of who might take over for her?
Do you know?
I
I
have no
haven't heard
idea.
anything.
Yeah, I didn't. I wasn't sure if that was.
I just want them to bring back Catherine Tate.
Yeah.
She was my favorite.
No, she was great. She was great.
And she's done as Donna's her storyline ended. She doesn't remember anything, so they could
Yeah.
actually go grab her again and start all over, and that would be hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, because Jenna Louise is actually apparently one of the longest running companions in the show's history.
Is she?
So, yeah, that's what, according
Well,
to
I
the
guess because
internet,
she's actually
and
been,
everything you read on the internet is
she's
true.
been on the show because she became a companion 2 years ago? 2 years ago during Christmas.
Mhm.
But she had been on the show as the head. You know, the doctor had found her. She was a character from another storyline, and then she came back, and then that was one of the things that they tied up.
And they'd retroactively had her leap back into the doctor's
Right.
timeline so that she was helping him through multiple
Through all of
through
them.
all of
at
his
the end. She
iterations.
was the impossible girl.
Mhm.
So yes, she was one of. I'm sorry, was she longer than Billie Piper though? It seemed like Billie Piper, and she came
Yeah.
back too. So but whatever. If it says that in the internet, then I'm sure it is
Internet.
true.
will not lie to us.
Would
so
not lie to us.
clearly-
And she's been great, and she's really good in the season premiere, which I have seen, which I will not talk about because
Yes.
don't
Well,
spoil anything.
okay, one last thing too. I was also reading that this is not Capaldi's first time on Doctor Who.
No.
And apparently they're going to address that. He was a
Yes.
he is a guest star in an episode of The Fires of Pompeii with David
yes.
Tennant, playing not a doctor.
Did he survive though? Right? I mean, what did he survive?
Don't
Because I remember that the thing was that was one where the doctor had an argument with Donna about whether he could, by letting people know that Vesuvius was going to blow, if he was going to then mess up the timeline of the universe. And
Right.
she was saying, well, we have to save this family, and Peter Capaldi was the father of this family.
Maybe
And
that's
so
why.
I think they did save them. I can't imagine that the doctor let them burn in the
Yeah.
fire.
Right. But apparently they've said that they will address how he was
Yes.
he was on the series
Yes.
before, and now he's the doctor.
Yes. Okay, well, obviously.
That.
Oh, and then you also mentioned too, people can not only see this on their television. but-
Yes, you can, as with the Day of the Doctor, you can see it in a movie. You can see it on a big screen.
Amazing.
It's, around town. Fathom Events.
It's a great
FathomEvents.com.
And the nice thing, because I'm sure people will dress up, and the nice thing is you can dress up and cosplay as Doctor Who, and you can go out to a nice restaurant and not
Oh
go
my
upstairs, because you look very
Are you
dapper.
going to do that?
No,
'Cause you're
I-
going to see it on
Yeah,
the
I'm
big
going to go
screen.
see it on the big
Where
screen.
are you
but,
going?
Burbank. The
Burbank.
Burbank 16.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
And are you going to dress up?
No, I don't have a suit that looks like any of his suits. So
Oh, that's too bad.
That's a reason to go buy one, I think.
yeah,
I think,
it
you know-
is a reason to go out and buy a nice suit.
Or to at least get the T-shirt that says bow ties are cool.
Right.
It's
Oh.
like that's when I knew that Doctor Who was here, was when I started seeing those on just kids.
Yeah.
Bow ties are cool.
Well,
Fezzes
clearly
are
the
cool.
show is.
Well, that's a
cool.
good question. So
Should have worn a fez.
So Matt Smith gave us the bow tie and the fez.
The fez. David Tennant gave us run.
Right. Well, David Tennant gave us the sneakers.
The sneakers.
And
the coat.
And
the
the coat. So I wonder what Peter
Oh,
Capaldi's
interesting.
lasting fashion.
Yes, lasting
edition.
fashion. Yeah, you need to have a tagline. The fezzes are cool or bow ties are cool, and run. And what was the other one that David Tennant had? I can't remember. And you need to have a fashion statement.
Okay, we'll be on the lookout for that. Okay, actually, speaking of that too, we were talking. I said this is the 12th Doctor, but you told me
Right.
I'm wrong.
Well, technically, it is the 12th Doctor, but we had the War Doctor, which was brought in, so that would make,
Can we call him 11 and a half?
but then there was the other Doctor, because there was the made-for-TV movie that starred another actor as the Doctor. So
They
it's
count
like-
him.
They do count
Yes,
him?
he's counted.
Okay.
Yes.
So he's some type of ambiguous number between
Yes.
11
yes,
and
which
13.
they address in the season premiere, which is pretty darn funny, the way
I
they
love
address that. Yeah.
All right, so besides this weekend, what else should people be watching?
I can't imagine. Just watch all of the Doctor Who's. That's what I'm planning to do. I'm planning
Yeah.
to just binge watch the whole thing so that
Right.
I'm right there when it starts.
Patrick, what are you watching?
I'm catching up on The Leftovers, which I think is
Oh,
great.
The Leftovers
And
is good.
That's a
So
good one.
I'm hoping to catch up to where it is just before the season finale.
Well, I am watching the series finale of Mary's favorite television show, True Blood, this Sunday. So
Right.
I know this is her
Oh,
absolute
right.
favorite television
Wow.
program.
Yeah.
So,
It's finally going to end. I should
Yeah.
probably watch that too.
yeah, seven seasons.
Are they all going to die or go
I
live
think
in
they're already all
fairyland?
dead. So
Are they all dead
you know,
in fairyland?
basically, the best show ever. You might think Game of Thrones is. I think
Yes.
this is.
There you
Well,
go.
thank you so much for joining me to talk about Doctor Who and its return. And if you guys wanted to,
I promised I would do that.
yes. And if you want to debate on if this is the 11th, 12th, 11th and a half, or 13th Doctor, make sure to tweet us at LA Times.
Oh, and we're doing this again on Monday.
Oh, yes.
Yes, we're doing
Yes.
it again on Monday.
And write down every single thought you have and tweet us on
Tweet
it
us.
so we can talk about
Lots
it
of
on Monday
questions.
at
Yes,
noon.
we can argue. Okay. Bye.
Bye.